Hey, welcome to the stream, everybody. I need to pay attention to what time it is. Let's get transitioned over. All right, everything's looking good. Um, just running some tests before the stream just to check everything out. Um, but first of all, welcome. Um, it's been a good week for me. Lots of good stuff happened. Um, I so at my work, I write a lot less code than I used to. I write a lot more propositions and I think a lot more about um, overall strategy. Really, is kind of the way work is for me now. Um, and so this past week we've been working on a big initiative, um, and I'd written something that if we published it, we already had teams that were in direct violation of what we published. Uh, or what we would have published. So I had to spend some time um, working on that, and then I was introduced to RFC 2119, which defines words like must, should, may, stuff like that, and had to rework my stuff to use RFC 2119. It means I'm too good in coding. I wish that's what it meant. I I'll tell you guys. I I struggle a lot with imposter syndrome, and I'm sure a lot of people do too. Um, but I am never convinced that I'm not good at what I do. To me, it's just like everybody else is better than me. Um, so I, I wish I was too good at coding, but I kind of don't think that that's the case. Um, but yeah, it was a good week. And I'm excited to get into things today. I was looking at the code before the stream. Um, it's funny because everyone thinks the same about imposter syndrome. The I, I try not to talk about it too much, right? Because I think everybody feels the same. I totally agree with you, Michael, on that one. The problem that we have with imposter syndrome, um, and I recognize this in myself, right? Like I look and this is all the stuff that I can do, right? And when I look at other devs, it looks like they can do so much more, right? And we have very little overlap here. Um, and so when I look at myself and I look at this small little area that I think I can do, I don't really know that every other dev can do all of this stuff, right? But that's the way I see the world. And I recognize that that's kind of a problem with me, that I think everybody else can do, two, three, four, 10 times what I can do. And what I can do seems very, very small and very, very mundane because I do it every day, right? Um, Streaming has helped me a little bit in that, in the regard that I encounter a lot of people who struggle with the same things that I do. Um, and when I'm out in public, I can talk to people that are the same way. But quite often, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, man, they're so freaking smart. Look at all of this stuff they know, and we share this very little piece together. I know a little bit, but man, look at how much they know, right? Um, and yeah, we all have talents, like the Autobot Constructicons. Yeah, if you combine our talents, we're greater than exactly. I actually really like that analogy, and that's why it, it's the analogy of the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, right? Um, you look at your yard or where you are, and you see all the flaws, right? But you look over at your neighbor's yard and you look at all the amazing stuff they've done. Um, and you're like, man, I'm so full of flaws and they're so amazing. But really, it's easy to get bogged down in that stuff, and sometimes it goes the other way, right? Where you look at somebody and you're like, well, what do they even do? But the reality is, you need all of those pieces on your team for your team to function the way it functions right now. So I agree with that. Independently, yep. If you didn't feel that way, it would be worse. It means you wouldn't self-develop. That's a good call out, Michael, on that point. Um, I totally agree there. That, and we were just having this discussion. I was having this discussion with a coworker, um, that I don't believe that anything is ever truly static. Um, you can choose to remain where you are, but everybody else is going to continue moving on. So even though you choose to remain where you are, everybody else is moving past where you are. And that's fine, right? Like, I like to point this out, that everybody else has different values than I do. Um, and they're working to achieve what's most valuable to them, and I'm working to achieve what's most valuable to me. And it's that combination of values and our Constructicon stuff that helps us get where we need to be. I feel the smartest guy. My values are the best. Well, I totally agree with that one, Michael. I strive to be just like you, but I do. I mean, all jokes aside, um, you're the you're like one of my sources of the latest news going on in Angular. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, you know what? Let's see if we can actually write some code today. I recognize I'm going to get sniped, but there are a couple of things that, if you guys were watching before the stream, you might have noticed. Um, so one of the things that I want to work on is, I want to get this hero selected stuff, so that it shows up in this messages down here. So that's the first thing. The other thing, is that I would like to get the messages to show up on the screen. And the last thing is, this is a horrible experience, right? Selected hero changed to T, TE, TES, TEST, right? And then we get TESIN and IN twice, and then G. And the funny thing about that is, if we look, because we're using a for and we're basing it, the index is based on the hero name. Then we're getting that the index collide. We're getting an index collision. And so we're getting two events here, and we're getting two events here. And so we need to figure out what's going on there. I have some ideas on how to fix that, but I really hate the way this is right now. So, Ole agrees that you and the spy raven that watches the Angular Royal Court meeting then brings us back to the Castle of Genius. Exactly, love that. Right. So if you guys don't know, and I've talked about this a couple of times, but um, when my youngest daughter was a bit younger, she went to this school, where they studied ancient cultures. And one of the ancient cultures they studied was the Viking culture. I'm a big fan of the Viking culture, and especially like the Viking gods. Um, and so, if you don't know the story of Odin, um, Odin basically hung himself in the Yggdrasil and sacrificed one of his eyes to be able to know everything, to gain wisdom, right? To become the All Father. Um, and Odin has two ravens, Nunin and Sunin. And Odin can send those two ravens out to spy, and he can see what they're talking about. So I really like the idea of the spy raven. Um, if you do like this patch state store response, oh, really? I'm happy about that change, Ole. That's actually a really cool change. But what I want to do is I want to clean this up. I want to get so first, what I want to do is I want to get messages up here. I want to get the messages on one line, and I want to make them look more um, more messagey, I guess is a way to put it. Also, this clear messages button is kind of annoying to me that it's not a button. So let's clean that up first, and then we'll get into stuff. Um, it wants you to provide state keys explicitly. That's really cool. NGRX and also the toolkit are finally on version 20. I did see that, and I upgraded that this morning. So if we go take a look at our package.json, so if we look at our NGRX, we're on version 20 here. I think we went to version 20 last week on this one. But this morning, the Angular architects, where's my toolkit? Dev kit, Angular. Where's my toolkit? It's in here, isn't it? There it is. How could I not see that? Oh, I was looking at the dev dependencies. I didn't scroll up. So yeah, we upgraded to the NGRX toolkit this morning to version 20. That was a change this morning. And there we upgraded WebStorm. So WebStorm has some new AI stuff in it that we may experiment with. Angular upgraded to 21.5. 20.2 is going to be pretty amazing. But I keep telling everybody that I'm talking to, you guys need to watch the Angular 21 space. I think Angular 21 is shaping up to be as big of a game changer as Angular 15. And I don't say that lightly. But definitely watch the Angular 21 space. Any news, hints, and tips you can get there. There's some stuff that I know about that hasn't been mentioned yet. But there's also some stuff in the public repos. And I know Michael's keeping his eye on stuff too, right? What was 15? 15 was basically what I consider the beginning of the Angular Renaissance. That's when we started getting like standalone. I think that's when signals were initially introduced. And just a couple of things that started really modernizing. But standalone components were a big one. Because shortly after that, we started getting we started getting the control flow, we started getting defer, we started, right? So the standalone component change in 15 was key enough to push us to where we are today on Angular 20 and Angular 21. I mean, Alex has mentioned some stuff and Manfred has mentioned some stuff that it's probably safe for me to talk about. With the new deep signals and structural signals. So those are coming, but those are part of a bigger piece that is showing up in the PRs now. But just go look at the PRs. That's what I'll say. Go look at the PRs. Go look at like the news sites that are talking about the secrets that are coming out, because there's a lot of stuff. Oh, he did show off signal forms. Okay, then it's okay for me to talk about that. um, I wasn't looking. I didn't attend the stream on Friday. Um, did he talk about um control value accessors at all, Michael? Because I'm curious about that one. Um, but yeah, signal forms are coming, and they look amazing. They have the, like I said, there's stuff coming in 21, and signal forms is one of the stuff that I'm saying, and the new signal types, and there's a whole bunch of other things that I'm seeing that are aligning for 21 that makes 21 super exciting. There has been some CVA type or CVA enabling PRs. And yeah, and that they showed off some stuff for the GDEs that I can't talk about, but I think it's out there if you guys want to go look for it. Um, so um, and allowing different native HTML controls like checkbox versus radio. Exactly. There's some really cool stuff coming, and part of the reason why we introduced a headless library is because of another piece that I can't wait for them to announce so that I can actually talk about it. Um, but we added the ng elements because of that. And so let's go take a look specifically at the layout of our form, or of our component right now, right? And if we go and we inspect this, so we can see we've got like a flex layout here. Our tour of heroes control, our app root, but then our messages fit below all of this. But we don't really have, I mean, we've got an overflow set here. We've got some flex stuff set, but we don't really have anything that would allow our messages to show up. And so that's probably the first thing we should do. Is allow our messages to be a part of the screen. And I think we can do that if we go to our app component, and right now we can see that, hey, we've got an H1, we've got our tour of heroes, we've got our messages and our router. We're gonna ignore our router for right now. But what we can do is, right now we've got our host Tailwind classes that we're using, right? We used a signal to do this, just to show that off. One thing we can do is let's go ahead and set this to be a display flex using our Tailwind classes. And so now if we set this up, we can see, oh, maybe that's not what we wanted, right? It gave us something a little bit weird. Definitely not what we were looking for. It gets really weird, right? As we didn't want this. So let's fix our flex classes. And I think we can just do flex call. I think that is the so there we go. So now if we inspect this again, we can see that our app roots I guess I need to add flex to it. Is it flex and then flex call? So if we go flex and then flex call, I may have to go look this up instead of muddling my way through it like I always do, right? There we go. So now we've got our flex on here, right? So now our H1 is part of our flex. And then our tour of heroes is part of our flex, right? And we can take a look at our flex and see where everything is. One thing we can take a look at here is our messages has a whole bunch of space around it. Let's fix that. We don't need as much space. And in fact, we could even go here and we could just do, hey, let's put a gap 2 in here. That should be fine. And we can talk about some stuff going on here. So here, if we look, our H1 has this giant margin below it. And then down below, our H2 has a giant margin around it. We may be tempted to go into our did we do CSS in the same? We did. Oh no, we've got our app component.css. So here we might be tempted to go like, hey, H1, and then we go margin, and it's TRBL, right? Top right, bottom left. And if you only do 2 together, then it's top, bottom, right, left. And if you only do 3, then it's top, bottom, and then it's right, and then left. So that's how this works out, right? Or if we do all of them together, then it's all of them, right? So we might be tempted to go 0 auto, right, for our margins. And we go take a look. Hey, look, because we put auto on here, it centered it. That's probably a good way to go. Now we can see our H1 has the side margins, but no other margins. I actually like this centered, so I think we're going to leave it that way. And that cleans up a lot of this mess. But then we look and we're like, oh, the H2, right? But this isn't the way to do it. It's the way that most people try to solve this. It's not the way that I recommend solving it. There's a couple of ways we could solve it. One way we could solve it is we could go into our Angular heroes, and we can just say, hey, class equals margin top bottom of I think it's MTB 0, right? And then MRL auto. Is that the way to do it? So we got our, no, it didn't. So did my MTB class get applied at all? Inherited. No. Let's go take a look at our Tailwind stuff, and Interesting that the MTB isn't working. So Tailwind, here we go. And let's just take a look at margin. So M number, so it's MY and MX. Those are the values we want. And I always forget this one. So this is MY0 and MX auto. And that should give us back what we were seeing before. So I'm not even seeing my MX or MY on here. Oh, here it is. It's not interesting. So MY is using margin block. Yeah, MY uses margin block. Yeah, see, there's margin top and margin bottom. Margin left. I guess here we can just say MB0. And that should pull the, there we go. So there's that. Then the last thing we want to do is make our messages, the H2 on that one. So using the Tailwind classes is the right way to go. The other thing you could do, and I very rarely recommend, if you're going to use Tailwind or something like that, I very rarely recommend that you apply a class scoped just to what you're doing. I instead recommend that either you add a class globally scoped or things like that. But I don't know. In this case, we'll use the Tailwind classes. We want to make sure that the messages has a margin top of 0 and we'll leave the margin bottom alone. And that should pull everything back up. So if we take a look at this and we go to back to our app component and our tour of heroes message. So we want our message, and we can even just hit F12 here and it'll take us straight to it. And on our H2, we can just do class equals margin top of 0. And that should pull everything up more. So there we go. Now we're looking a lot better. And our messages are starting to show up. Our problem is that it's still off the bottom. What we want it to do, so right now we're losing that central piece, right? And this is where we want to take a look at like our flex basis. So this piece should have a min height, but then it should also share a fraction with the piece below it, right? So that we aren't flowing off the screen. And let's take a look at how to do that in Tailwind. And that is here. So our flex basis here allows us to set so basis 64, basis 64, and basis 128, right? But what we want is let's set our basis for our different stuff in our app component here. We can say, hey, we want this to be a basis of extra small. And here we want a basis of medium. And here we want a basis of small. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, that's not what we expected. What did our basis small, extra small do? Oh, it did it. So it set the basis to be the width. So our basis is based on the width. It's probably not what we want. So go back to Tailwind. Maybe we want percentages. Let's try here. We'll do a basis of 1/6. Here we'll do a basis of 1/2. And here we'll do a basis of 1/6 or 2/6, 1/3, 1/3. Oh, and this also needs to be class equals. You guys were probably seeing that. It's like, what are you doing? Let's try this again. Let's see if we do extra small here. We'll do a large here, and we'll do a small here. What does my flex basis look like now? If I actually do it. Okay, now it's really messed up because and it's not going to change because it's based on the width. So if we take a look, we can see that this basis container extra small is 20 rem. Dang. Container large is 32 rem. So these are going really, really huge, and that's not what we want. So we'll try it again with the basis of 1/6, and then 1/2, and then 1/3, and see what we get, if that looks any better. So there we go. It's not bad. But we're still losing that central piece. And then the last thing is that our messages are still off the bottom. Even if we close this, our messages still sit off the bottom. Because the height we haven't set a max height here. So if we set like a height of full, what does that do? And then we set a max height. Max height of 100 or full 100. Does that do it? Let's go ahead and inspect this. So there's my height full. Let's take a look and see. Layer, layer, layer. Flex call. Max width. Okay, so 100 is not what I want. Hey, Johanderson, welcome to the stream, man. There's no such thing as waking up late. It's the weekend. You just wake up when you need to wake up. So you're rested for tomorrow. So if I do a max height of full, is that what we want? interesting that we're getting the hero store destroyed and initialized. I think that's because of the these layouts are always such a challenge because the body. So on our body tag, we don't have max height. If I were to add to my body tag here, just on this element, if I were to go height 100%, overflow auto, so now my app root has a height of 862 by 311. In my body, 958 by 311. So they're fitting within each other. I think the issue comes down to if we look at this. So our margin is fine, our border is 0, our padding is 16. And then this content is 279, but we've got the padding around it. Oh, I've got block and flex on this. That might be my problem. That might be my problem. Hey, Marcus. Yes, I'm chopped liver. Oh, Michael. It's getting a little bit better. If we take a look here, our app root is still 311. Our body is still 311. Our body has overflow on it and an event on it. And this is overflow. So they're both overflowing. But I think it comes down to so we've got our Angular Tour of Heroes. We inspect this. See, our body is at 389 pixels, and our app root is at 388. Oh, what if we do 100 view height? So if we do a max height of, and I need to take a look at the VH. How do we do VH here? Not flex bases. Okay, so we could do H screen. So max H screen might be the right way to go. Max H screen. And then we see what we get. Oh, come on. 309. 309. Why is messages off the bottom? Oh, duh. So we've got our overflow here, but like if I clear our messages, oh, wait, what happened here? Oh, our no messages has an H1 on it. So let's go back to our messages. And here our H2 for no messages also needs margin top 0. Zero and margin bottom of 0. And that should, now if we refresh this, we've got messages. As soon as we clear these messages, yeah. So our flex basis, we don't have the overflow set on this. So if on our messages component, right now we're set to block, but if we go overflow Y scroll, that should fix it. That's why we were overflowing. Yeah. There we go. Why is our messages? I expected that to be. So what does that calc look out to be? 1/3 times 100%. That should be 33%. Wait, where did my overflow go? Anyway, we know why it's overflowing. What we can do is if we go back to the app component here, we just make this like, we'll make this basis, we'll make this basis 32. And we'll make this basis, we want to make it like 3 times as big. So we go like 96 here. And then we can make this one like 256 or something. And see what that winds up looking like. What I really should probably do is just break down and do a grid. 256 is probably too big. Let's try 128. And it's not really changing. So my basis is not, So basis 32. Oh, it's using the spacing times 32. Spacing times 128. And spacing times 96. Oh, the other thing. So this is flex. Oh, this is all fine. What we want to do, why am I importing common module? Am I importing common module? Was that in the message component where I am importing that. I don't need it. I don't need common module at all. Hey, look at that. Now my messages has the overflow on it. It must not have just been picking it up. But now we don't have the overflow on the side. We'll give this bottom one a minimum height. So we can go to our app component here and do like min height. And let's do like a 2.5 and see what that does for us. That doesn't, does that work? So min height 2.5 doesn't work. Min height 2 should work. So if we go with like a min height of 4, or maybe we'll go min height of 8, see what that does. giving me hot module issues. Dang those hot modules. So let's rebuild that. And there we go. Boom. There we go. So now if I refresh this, inspecting that, well, one thing we can do is we can take that giant, I don't care. What I do care is overflow. What we have to, oh, does this have to be a grid? We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it for now. We're just gonna take off all this basis stuff here. We're gonna take all this off. We may have to come back and make this a grid, but I don't want to mess with it too much before we get the router in play. So there's that. And then the last thing we can do with the heroes component is we added the overflow here. We're just gonna leave it as is. We're yeah, that's fine. For right now, that's fine. What is causing? Oh, I didn't want to do that. I've got to have a class that's setting the height on this, and that's causing my problems, right? Oh, I've got card height set. Max height is card height. And card height is 100 VH minus 8 rem. That's my problem. I've been fighting against this. I need to fix that, but yeah, it's that card height that's causing the problem. It's not giving space for messages. And that's actually coming from here. And I should have just looked at that. Where am I setting that? There's that host block. Well, that's my messages. I'm like, wait, no, here it is. So I've got card height and I've got card height set here. If I double this, boom, and then in my, so now my tour of heroes, if I go take a look at this now and refresh, yeah. But as I get more, right, it's going to scroll off the bottom of the screen. That was my problem. Let's also give it a min height of like a min height of 1/4. So it's never going to get smaller than a quarter. That's not right. Let's give it a min height of 32. Min height of 32. Min height of 32. There we go. So now if we refresh this, as we get smaller, yeah, the smallest it'll ever get is that small. Maybe we give it a min height of 48. Min height of 48. There we go. Now if we refresh this, there we go. That's the smallest it's ever going to get. Not bad. The last thing we want to do is, there's a whole bunch of space here underneath this message. Let's give it a margin bottom of like 0.5 maybe. I don't know. I know that it's good to have spacing around stuff. It just feels wasted, but I'm gonna let it be for now. Anyway, that cleans that up. If we add a bunch of messages, it's gonna go off the bottom of the screen, but at least we've got our messages showing up. So that's good. So let's call this good. And quit messing around so much, right? Do you have experience generating PDFs? I thought there would be plenty of easy solutions. But doing it purely on the client doesn't seem easy. Ola, there are different libraries that will allow you to generate PDFs that are out there, and they're okay. Generating in the client, really, the best way to do a PDF in the client is to set up a special CSS that does print. So you set up a special CSS for when you're in a print mode that takes away everything but what you want in the PDF. And then from there, you just have them print to PDF. That's the best way. That's the best way to do it. And usually what you can do is add like a button. I don't know. Yeah, save as PDF. Yep. Johanderson. Booked my ticket for Angular Connect. Oh, that's awesome, Marcus. I won't be at Angular Connect or ngConf. Unfortunately this year. I am going to be just a second. Just a second. So the Angular Plus podcast reached out and we're going to be talking about AI. I'm excited about that. Just looking to see. Yeah, I know it'll be the first NGConf where I wasn't. Yeah, at Media Print exactly. Um, um, so yeah, this will be the first NGConf since Angular JS that I wasn't at. And yeah, I'm just I mean, things are expensive now. Normally, I would pay for my own ticket and stuff like that, but things just aren't working out right now. Um, and so I'm gonna have to miss this one. I'm actually really bummed about it. But yeah, the Angular Plus show, they're a fun show. The last NGConf, I participated in their game show where they accused me of cheating. I wasn't really cheating, but I wasn't also going to fight with them in front of everybody. So I was just like, okay, whatever. But I don't know. They're a fun show, fun group. Really, really like them. Um, really looking forward to it. So um, we fixed layout, show messages. Okay. Yeah, the live show was a lot of fun. You would go on if they invited you. Usually after I go on podcasts and stuff, um, they send out a survey asking if people want to go on it. I'll put your name on there, Michael, um, and um, list you as somebody who should show up on the show. Um, so I think it would be fun to see what you have to say. Um, and you're definitely very connected to stuff in the community. Um, so the next thing I want to take a look at is this button. Um, we really just added it as we asked it. Um, yeah, we half-assed this button. I will be honest. So we want button, and we can do button dash small, and that's gonna make some things look better, right? So if we refresh this, now the button looks better. Um, this is killing me. I can't do it. We're I keep trying to make myself do it, but I can't. Margin bottom. Um, we'll do 0.5. Yeah, that should work, right? Yeah. We could even do like a margin bottom of 1. Um, but it is. There was just way too much padding on that for me. Um, and I don't know what it was, but it just bugged me. So we've got our button here. We can make it a button dash secondary to give it some more interesting color, right? Oh, that's a little bit too interesting. Let's try tertiary. um, Tertiary doesn't exist. Let's go look at Daisy UI and look at what our color choices are. Um, So dark mode, theme, colors right here. So we've got all of our reds, but utility classes. Got red, orange, yellow. They not list out. Maybe it's in theme variables. Um, where does it show? Um, utility classes. Is this it? I swear there's a place where primary. Yeah, so color red, color orange, amber, yellow, lime, green. But where is my primary? Is in the styling. Hmm. I swear it listed out, and maybe it's in tail. I'm in Tailwind. I need to look at Daisy. Ah, colors. Here we go. primary, it's accent. Accent is the one we wanted. We've got primary, secondary, accent, neutral, base, and then we've got info, success, warning, and error. What if we used info, button dash info? That would be better. There we go. Yeah. So that looks a little bit better. What if we go with a warning button on this? Button dash warn. Warning. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Windstorm T. So we've got that, but now we've also got this weird situation. Well, and we didn't have it here. Oh, we did. So we're getting these like weird issues where index 0 and 2, right? So we're getting these weird issues where we're getting one, too many messages, and two, our messages are causing our for statement to cause problems. So let's fix that also. So the change here is in the hero store. And the update hero name is it's a little too fast, right? It's happening on every key press, and we want to debounce our key presses. And we can do that. We can change this so that hero name we have to change the values that are coming in, but we can change this so that this becomes an RX method, and we can import that. Come on. RX method. I need to figure out where we import that from. Let's go grab that from here, and RxJS integration. So RX method signals RxJS interop. Import Rx method from at ngrx. That's where we want it from. And I'm not sure why it didn't find that before. So there's my Rx method. And our Rx method is going to take an object that's hero ID, that's a number, and a name that's string or undefined. And there we go. We can now pipe. Boom. And here, import pipe. And here, this is inside of here, we can go hero ID, comma name. And then we want this to go here. What is that green? Oh, that's lining up with methods. We do want that to line up with methods. That's what was breaking stuff. So if I take this and paste it into, what did I do? Here we go. We can paste this into here. Oh, I grabbed too many braces. I only want this. Getting that. Down to there, but what is... I don't know what that last one lines up with. Oh, okay. Yep, that works. That lines up there. That lines up there. That lines up there, and we're good. However, my pipe method so pipe is taking That's the problem. And this needs to come from RxJS operators. Doesn't have. So pipe. Is that not right? What am I doing wrong here? This is an Rx method that takes in a hero ID and a name. But my pipe observable hero ID. Because I should be able to just send this straight to the pipe method. Oh. Yeah, I'm being dumb. I also need my tap. And we could even do like a tap. No, tap's fine here. So if we import tap and that, there we go. Wait. Okay. There we go. So now we've tapped into this, but now we can also, because we've done that, now we can debounce time, and we can debounce for like 200, or we could even go like 300 milliseconds. And now that we've debounced our time, now this should compile. There we go. Interesting. So we're getting a hero store. We're getting a store initialized and a store delete, but now if we do test, so 300 milliseconds is probably too fast. So, I mean, we're getting. Wait, why is this working? This shouldn't be working because I changed the update hero name. This should not be working. Oh, it isn't working. That's the problem. So we need to have this be hero ID and value, but value doesn't work because this should be name. We're just gonna rename this to be name. And of course it was smarter than me, so boom. So now we've got hero and name. There we go. There we go. So now we're only getting one. So if I type, we're only getting one message as this goes through, and we're using the RX method to allow us to do that. Okay, so here we are. If we change this to just be test, the provided track expression resulted in duplicate keys for a given collection. Adjust the tracking expression such that it uniquely identifies all the items in the collection. Duplicate keys were hero store initialized. Oh. Yeah, we've got a problem here. In our message component, we're using this for loop. And we're using pretty messages, but pretty messages it's not the message store we want the message component here. So if we look at this, we can't take this track off because that doesn't work. Track, we can track by index, and that's going to remove the duplicate keys. Usually you don't want to track by index. That's not a good idea. But in our case, we're just doing looping over strings, right? What's fascinating to me is we get a store initialized. We hydrate the component, which destroys the store, and then it destroys the... This is fascinating because the message store is not where that's coming from. It's actually the hero store. So in the hero store, we're saying that the store was initialized and then that it was destroyed. Another thing I wanted to do here was just say, hey, the selected hero or hero name change is what we wanted to do here. Hero name changed. I'm honestly not sure why we're creating the store and then destroying the store. So this is created in message store 32. We enter debug mode, we hydrate, but then we destroy the store. Then we add the store. So we're just adding that method. Like, I'm not sure what's destroying the store and then initializing the store. But interesting. One thing I did want to take a look at, as we're working through this is, let's go take a look at our nope. That's Angular. GitHub, that's mutative. Excalidraw, NGRX platform. Where is it? Didn't I have it here? Was it here? No. Oh, it's right here at the very top, Angular primitives. So with Angular primitives to do a button, so they're adding a whole bunch of stuff to their buttons here, but here's their button. Input button size. So they created this app button. App button comes from here. We've got a whole bunch of CSS around it. Oh, interesting. So they're using a host directive in their button. And then they've got a whole bunch of stuff set up around it, like CSS. And then they're using their app button variant, app button variants. Right? They've got their different app buttons. So their app buttons are setting things up. I don't know if I'm not sure what we gain if we use their stuff. So path. So they add attributes to their buttons. And then what they're doing here is, like, for example, they're passing in the size attribute here on data dash size. So they're doing like a size small, size large, and a size XL. And then they're adding their app button directive to it. No, this is a component. Does this work? I guess components are technically directives. They're adding the ng button to it. And so by default, it gets this. With hover, they add other stuff. With focus visible, they add other stuff. But I don't think we need to do anything with their button. We'll stick with the daisy button for now. So we've got our debounce time. We fixed that other issue. Oh, I wanted to make this display nicer so that it's not just space, 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 right? Let's so if we go to our message component, if we make this a pre here, this should, in theory, make this nicer. Yeah. So there we go. Now we're getting messages here, but we're getting extra enters on them. Let's see what pretty messages. We go look at our message store. Oh, I know what the problem is. how do we do that? Because this is going to um, does that fix our problem with extra enters? Um, no. Um, so if we look inside of the pre, oh, we're getting, wait, did it not pick up my changes here? This can't be there. So now I put it up against the beginning, but we're still getting like these extra lines in here, and I'm not sure why. Man, formatting pre-formatted code using the for is actually, there we go. It's a little bit of an interesting so at least Pretty are smart enough not to mess with things inside of pre-tags, but it is a little bit of an interesting exercise, right? To get what we want. So yeah, hero name changed to Jason. So that worked. So the messages component we reformatted to look nicer. I guess the other thing we could do here is we could also say, hey, we want this to be color dash, I don't know, info. Does that look good? So the color dash info came through. Probably using the wrong attribute here. Let's go take a look at our colors again. Using colors. X dash info. That's what we want. There isn't a color. I was get that messed up. So this can be text dash info. And that should, our messages, boom. That's not bad. Dr. Test. Bombasto. Michael small. Is Ole. Oh, that was weird. I wonder where that happened. But there we go. So now we're getting our messages down below. Things are looking better. Got about 10 minutes left. One thing I want to do is just go here and let's fix this up a bit. Fixed messages component. But the last thing I wanted to take a look at is something that we did originally. And when they selected a hero, we wanted to, on this computed, we originally had this so that we said, hey, const hero equals this, right? Then we returned our hero. But here we tried to say, hey, message store.add. And then create message this, right? And here we also need our message store. And as soon as we do this, right, our store is initialized. We're no longer getting that the store is being destroyed. I think that the reason we were getting created and then destroyed and then created is that it was trying to create it. It couldn't compile it, so it was destroying that one and then creating a new component. But notice now when we select somebody, we don't get anything. And if we go take a look at our console, oh, our inject. So we're broken right now. Anyway, this has to be called within an injection context, so that's easy to fix. So boom. But now we're gonna see that when we refresh this, that we can't write to signals inside of a computed, and that's causing problems for us, right? So as soon as we try to do any of these, if we clear this out, as soon as I click Windstorm, it's saying, hey, you can't write to a signal inside of a computed. So I was trying to figure out ways that we could do this. And one thing we could do is we could potentially take our message store and inside of our message store, we could add these message state events. And here, this could be our add message. And our type, we need to import event group. Why can't you find event group? That's so weird, because here, event group is coming from NGRX signals. So great, there's our event group. And then type is coming from NGRX signals. Or type from NGRX signals. And so that fixes that. String or undefined. but we don't want a string or undefined. We want a message. So this is of type message. Boom. So now we can add a message. So the last thing we need to do is we need to add our reducer here. So we can grab this and go back to our message store and add our reducer. We need to bring this in. Come on. There's our reducer. We need to bring in the on method. And it's no longer hero state events. Now it's message state events. And here we have dot message, add message. And our payload is a message. There we go. And now we can just call update message. And it's not that. We can just say, hey, our payload is a message, and we update our message. Update messages with our message. So we've got our payload here. Can I grab the state here? What is my type of state here? Message state. Perfect. So we can call update messages with state.messages and our message. And that should work. So there we go. Yeah, the other arg just needs to come in from, we can infer that. And so now we've got our, now we've got some events that we can fire off and a reducer to handle what happens when those events fire off. So the next question is, if we go into our heroes store, and instead of injecting the store, what we can do is we can use create dispatcher. So we can say, hey, message dispatcher equals create dispatcher. And uh-oh, is that not what it's called? Let's take a look at NGRX. That's Angular. That's not NGRX. Is that NGRX? And here inside of events, Oh, it's inject dispatch. It's not create dispatcher. It's inject dispatch. So we can say inject dispatch. And we should be able to pull that in from NGRX signals. And then we have to give it the name of the reason that we had to export this up here is we want to tell it that we want the message state events. So we want a dispatcher for the message state events. Boom. We'll need to import that. So there we go. And then down here, instead of message store.add, what we can do is we can do message dispatcher dot add message. And here we just grab the create message. And paste that in. Then we get rid of this stuff. Save it so it cleans everything up for us. And hopefully this works. Hopefully by switching over to... No, dang it. Let's just make sure. Let's just make sure that this... that it... Hey, Arun, welcome to the stream. Okay. So yeah, it's telling us that we can't write to it. I'm really curious. Oh. Yeah, I changed the wrong place. Oh well. It helps if you do that, and here const message dispatcher equals inject dispatch message state events. Boom. And so we add this and let's pull that out, get rid of that. And see if moving it to an event solves our issue. And hey, look at that. So we don't have a hero selected. And now it says, hey, we selected Windstorm, we selected Dr. Nice, we selected Windstorm, we selected Magneta, right? Here we can say, hey, we changed this to Arun, right? And so down here we can say, hey, we changed the name to Arun, and then go to Magenta, and then back to Arun. And so this is one place where events are going to solve issues for us, right? Because before, when we were looking at it, like these hero state events didn't really give us anything. We can actually pull these out because we don't really need them. But for our for the case where we're trying to make changes inside of a computed, they help us out. And how do they help us out? Well, let's take a look, right? If we go take a look at what's happening, we get an event from the view fires an event. The event goes back to the dispatcher, right? And we could get events from outside that also hit the dispatcher, but basically we've got a unidirectional flow. And the reason that you can't update signals inside of other signals is that you could wind up with or inside of a computed. Let's say we've got signal 1, right? And signal 1 is used in computed 1, right? And this is a unidirectional flow and all is good. But let's say for whatever reason, computed 1 tries to update signal 1, right? Well, now we've got this infinite loop that we can't resolve. However, if we move into a flow like this, where the store does something that updates the view, and then there might be events that are fired somewhere, but they're always run through this dispatcher. Sure, we may be able to get this infinite loop again, right? This isn't good, but our stuff isn't hitting an infinite loop, right? We've got the heroes store, right, that is hitting the selected computed, right? And our selected computed is updating the message store, and our message store is updating the pretty message computed, right? And that is just beautiful. But basically, our flow is going this way, right? This flow would be bad and would break our application. With events, it would be possible for us to do something like this, and it's not good. But our case is going to something outside of here, and so we don't have a problem. There would be a problem if this in turn updated the hero store that caused the selected hero, right? This could be a problem. And so you could have a circular reference with a longer chain than just this. But by breaking that dependency and by dispatching it onto another queue that's then processed in the next change detection cycle or whatever, wherever we're naked gun. That sounds really good. Mixing dots. I hate my teeth, I guess. Yeah. I wasn't I didn't even realize that people were mixing stuff into their popcorn at movie theaters until my daughter was in gymnastics, and we were by a movie theater, the gymnastics, the gym where she was at, and people would stop by the movie theater, get a bucket of popcorn, and then mix like different types of candy into the popcorn to eat while they watched their daughter practice gymnastics. So I didn't realize that was a thing. But anyway, this is a place where events and messaging works out well and in our favor, right? We were able to take something that we wanted to update the messages, but we couldn't do it because we were inside of a computer. And the other fix would have been here inside of select hero. Then we could have, done some magic here. But it would have required more work. It's just easier that, hey, when the computed happens, we go here, right? The last thing we could do is we could just say, hey, if hero, then we do this, right? And this way we don't need that. And we can also say, hey, we also want the hero ID. And so now, when we go back, so the store is initialized. We don't get the undefined message. But now, as soon as we select Celeritas, right, and maybe we change this to be Ole. I don't know why it's swallowing key presses here. And maybe it's not. Maybe I just think it is. So, oh, yay. I don't know. But anyway, so we've got this Ole right in here. If we look, we can clear our messages so we can see more. So we select a different hero. I'm curious. So when we hit this multiple times, notice down here it's saying hero selected 14. We've done that 19 times. Because we're doing this in a computed, the computed will only run when it needs to run. So I'm hitting this and our function saying, hey, you've done this 27 times, but it's only ever going to put Ole there when we actually change it, right? And so we were able to fix a bunch of stuff, and I do need to end. Thank you everybody for being here. It was a lot of fun to just get in and write some code today. Like I said, I haven't written a lot of code in a while, and so you know, it's always fun for me. I really enjoy writing code, so being able to get in and do this, and you know, make things look a little bit better, clean some stuff up, so that you know, well, make things look better, but also fix some issues that we had before. And thank you, Ole. We will we'll see you definitely next Sunday. But yeah, you guys all have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great week, and we'll see you